Oh. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's training session. I will be your lead trainer for today. My name is Evelyn Kibaya, and I've also been joined by my very able moderator. Her name is Winnie Angwekwe, and she will be interacting with you right on the chat box. So kindly feel free to interact with us. Feel free to engage with us or even ask us any kind of questions that you may have. Yeah. So while we jump into the training session today, our topic will be how to implement Google Workspace across our businesses and also how to make it work for the advantage of our business. So the particular topics that you're going to be talking about is that you're going through 3 agendas, and by the end of the training, you'll be able to discover how Google Workspace works. You'll be able to discover how Google Workspace can help you boost communication across your business, and also you'll learn how to leverage tools to increase collaboration in your business. So as we jump into the next thing is that Google are currently offering a free bootcamp for all small and medium enterprises, all people who own small businesses and are ready to scale up their digital skills. Google are offering a free Google Asol Academy platform where you'll be able to be mentored, a one-on-one mentorship to help you get equipped with to help you get equipped with to help you get equipped with Google digital skills. Yeah. Yeah. So that is it. And then, so if I may ask you, what tools do you currently use to communicate and collaborate with your business? Feel free to engage with us on the chat box so that we may actually know which tools you actually use to communicate and collaborate within your business. And I can see that you're actually joining the training session. Welcome on board, Stephen Odis. Feel free to engage with us. Feel free to engage my moderator. And also my moderator is going to share the ASOL Academy link so that you can actually register for the free mentorship that is going on. Yeah. So to jump in, kindly answer me, what are the tools that you actually use for? Okay, so let me just get to the right tab. Let me just get to the right tab, and as I get into it, kindly tell me the kind of tools that you use to actually engage and communicate within your business. It might be employees, it might be your clients and such things. So we are going to dig into the first topic, which is discover Google Workspace. So if I may ask you a question, do you currently use Google Workspace? And if so, how do you use it for the benefit or rather the advantage of your business? How do you currently use Google Workspace for your business? Feel free to interact with us on the chat box. On the chat box, engage my moderator on it. So have you used Google Workspace before? And if you've used it before, how impactful has it been on your business? Yeah. So feel free to engage with us. Let me see if there are any answers at the moment. You can see there are no answers, but feel free to engage with us on it so that we can actually dig deeper into it. As we jump into the next topic, Workspace. For example, most of you might be asking themselves, or rather it's a new term, asking yourself what Google Workspace is. Asking yourself what Google Workspace is. So Google Workspace So Google Workspace, it initially used to be called G Suite, but nowadays the name was revamped, or rather nowadays it's called Google Workspace, and it's an example of a digital workspace. The same way under Microsoft, you always have Microsoft Outlook. It's the same way under Google, we have the Google Workspace platform, especially for corporates to enable working be easier, to enable you to actually collaborate with your employees easily. It is a place where you can actually be able to, it is somewhere you will be able to, sorry, okay. Yeah, so I think now we are together. So basically, Google Workspace was previously called G Suite, and it is a collection of cloud computing items whereby you can enhance your productivity, and it is also a collaboration tool, a software, and also products. Products are developed and marketed by Google under the Google Workspace. So basically, Google Workspace in particular is a collection of cloud computing, productivity, and collaboration tools, and it also enables users to create documents, spreadsheets, slides. It enables you to actually send emails where it is a form of communication, one message from one person to another. And also, it's sold and marketed globally by Google, meaning that Google Workspace is a very essential product of Google. Yeah. And so Google Workspace is actually one of the items that you're providing for you as Africa 118, especially the small and medium enterprises that we have on board. So I'm sure you're familiarizing yourself with it. So we can jump into the different tools available on Google Workspace. So for example, clockwise on your screen, as you can see, we can see the icon of Docs, Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Meet, Charts, Jamboard, Admin Console, and also Slides, Sites, and Forms. And also, just to tell you that some of the tools that are currently on the presentation have actually been eliminated, but as we dig deep into it, I will be able to explain to you everything. But I wanted to show you practically these tools on to it. I will be able to explain to you everything. But I wanted to show you practically these tools via the real Google Workspace. So allow me to just show you practically, reshare my screen on it. Just show you it practically. Yeah, so for example, this is an Gmail email where I've just logged in. And when you click on these nine dots over here, you'll be able to see some of Google apps which are displaying. So for example, on what I'm showing you is that this is the Gmail icon, just what you were seeing on our presentation, of which it is a Google Workspace tool. This one is Google Meet. This one is Google Chat. All the icons that I'm showing you currently are actually examples of Google Workspace tools. This one is also Google Drive. This one is Google Calendar. We have also got Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, Google Books. We've got Google Hangouts. We have got Google Jamboard, and also, yeah, technically those are some of the examples of Google Workspace. So as we dig deep into it, I will be showing you practically how they are used. So maybe we can continue with our presentation. Yeah, so I've practically shown you the examples of Google Workspace. So maybe we can dig into the next thing. The next thing is the core functionalities of Google Workspace. So the core functionality of Google Workspace is that the Google Workspace can actually create documents and presentation just based on the examples that I've just shown you, where, for example, under Google Docs, you're able to actually create or rather do your work from it and stuff like that. A presentation is examples of Google Slides where you can actually do or rather perform your tasks under it. Another functionality of Google Workspace is that you can record, analyze, and present data from it. You can also brainstorm your ideas maybe with your team members. You can be able to manage products and also store files under it. And also you can be able to communicate regularly. So those are some of the core functionalities or rather importances of Google Workspaces, and we're going to check into each and every one of them. So on the next thing is that, for example, under create documents and presentation, we have got examples of Google Workspace tools that we have, which include Google Docs and Google Slides. So under Google Docs, for example, with the is that Google Docs almost works like MS Word, but it is more detailed and more advantaged in that it is word processing for Teams, of course. You can actually create and edit text documents from it, and also several people can work at the same time. So, for example, go through the theory part of it and then I'm going to show you the practical bit. And also every change saved is automatically saved on your Google Cloud because it's on Google Workspace. So it will automatically be saved, meaning that it reduces your chances of losing your data. And also you can work on a single document with team members, a lot of team members. For example, you've got 30 people in your team, you can all work on one document. The second option with the yellow icon written slides is that you can actually create and edit polished presentation in your browser. Actually, no software is required under it. And also several people can work at the same time so that everyone always has the latest version. Under it also, you can work on a single presentation online with your business partner, and also all your team members can actually be able to access or rather work on it. You can also, you are the one who actually control who gets permissions to edit, view, or just add comments on it. And also it is more intuitive, and also it's user friendly, unlike the PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, so let me just show you practically on those two documents. But I was thinking of maybe jumping into the next topic so that I can actually show you practically the whole bit of it. Okay, on the next presentation, we're going to look at Google Forms and also Google Sheets. So under Google Forms, it's that it is easy to create surveys and forms for everyone. For example, after most of you attend most of our training sessions, we always ask most of you to fill in an attendance form. You see that attendance form, we actually create it using our Google Workspace tool, which is Google Forms. So you can easily form or rather organize or rather create a questionnaire from it and send it out to the target audience that you're targeting to actually get data from it. So that's the advantage of Google Forms. And also you can actually select from multiple questions. For example, if you're asking someone, where are you located in? For example, you can even put icons like Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and they will be able to choose the right answer, and you'll be able to access all the data that was fed in those forms from the back end of that form. And also under Google Sheets, it's that it is collaborative, it is smart, it is a secure spreadsheet for fast moving organization, especially really big organization, because as long as I've opened my Google Sheet, the thing is that I will be able to work with all my team members, may they be 10, may they be 50 on one Google Sheet, and that there is actually no risk of losing data because it's all stored under one thing. And also it has compatibility with external systems, for example, Microsoft Office, and also it removes the friction of working with multiple data sources. So basically that is it from Google Forms and Sheets. So maybe I can show you practically now. Allow me to reshare my screen again. So, for example, let me just show you practically those tools. So, for example, I've told you for you to access the Google Workspace tools, you have to log into your Gmail email, and then under it, there are these nine icons, nine dots, of which if you hover around it, it's going to display Google Apps. So, once I click on it, I will be able to access some of the Google Workspace tools that we've just talked about. For example, we started off with Google Docs. For example, if I click on it, Google Docs is loading. Google Docs, we have just said that it's more like a modified MS Word where you can be able to work with all your team members under one platform. So, for example, if I click, I want a blank, it's going to load, and then I will be able literally to type everything on it. And then the advantage of this is that for example, even when you open it when it is fresh, Google automatically shows you, see how it works, you'll be able to be directed on it. And the thing is that while you are working on it here, it can be able to be accessed by even 50 people under one sheet. So I can be able to work confidently with my team members under this same worksheet, Google Documents. And the thing is that we are unable, or there are very low chances of losing data, because there are low chances of losing data because the information that you actually fill on the Google Docs is directly stored on Google Clouds. Yeah. So the other thing that we looked into is the Google Slides. For example, Google Slides, we're going to find it here. It's the one named Slides. So once I click on it again, this is how it appears. And then again, I'll click blank. And these are so good for presentation, especially because unlike PPT, I can be able to come here and write, maybe for example, Evelyn's project, maybe for example, Evelyn's project, and then it can be able to be accessed. For example, if you want to work with your team members, no matter how many numbers they are, they will be able to access this folder. So the other tool that you're checking into was the Google Forms. Google Forms. So under it, it's just the same process. You click on it and then you click blank. And so Google Forms have told you it is really good for questionnaire because, for example, if I want to create a questionnaire, I will just type in, for example, which country are you from? And just type something like this. Which country are you from? And then I'd like to indicate multiple choices. So let me just pick checkbox. So I'll be able to edit this. For example, are you from Kenya? And then I add another one. Sorry. So are you from Kenya? You add another one. Are you from Ghana? Are you from Ghana? Ghana? Or even are you from Rwanda? So once this questionnaire reaches the people that I want to get data from, they will be able to tick any that ascertains to maybe the country that they're coming from. So Google Forms are really essential for questionnaires. Yeah. And then the final tool, Google Workspace tool that we checked into was the Google Sheets. Which this one is really common, so you can just click, you start. It's more like an Excel sheet where you can literally store all your data. So practically, actually, in our organization, we really make use of this. Maybe I can show you an example of it, of how Google Workspace, of how the Google Sheets actually works. Just give me a minute and then I'll be able to share my screen with you. So it's loading just, okay, let me share the screen now. I want to practically show you an example of a Google Sheet. So for example, as you can see, this is an example of a Google Sheet where I store my data, and even anyone that I allow to access this data, they are able to access it. So basically, this is just an example of a Google Sheet which you can actually consider, especially while working with a very big team. Especially also people who work remotely, this can really be useful because you are able to enter data, you are able to do anything that you really want. Yeah. So maybe we can now continue the presentation because I know you now have hands-on skills on what we are really talking about. So let's continue with our presentation. So those are the examples of Google Workspace tools. And so to dig further, it's the benefits brought by Google Workspace. So you can see that the benefits of Google Workspace is that it has got increased collaboration, it has got improved communication, you're able to work smarter while using Google Workspace, and also it has got enhanced security. So we are going to check into each and every one of them. And so to begin with, if I may ask you, how can Google Workspace be used to increase collaboration, for example, in an organization? We have actually seen that Google Workspace actually stores your information in the cloud, in Google Cloud, enabling you to share the documents and files with ease. And also, you can simply share a file URL or rather share documents and files via email. You can also encourage teams to collaborate and share ideas with you via the Google Workspace. You can also restrict editing accesses. For example, I'm the one who created or rather formed a Google Sheet. I want my teammates to actually see the presentation or rather the details on that Google Sheet, but I do not want them to edit it. I can easily choose an option of view only under it. And then you are able to track changes, you are able to comment on it, and also to comment with ideas, and also you are able to work with colleagues across different projects. Yeah, so that is how Google Workspace can actually be used to increase collaboration. And also another advantage is that Google Workspace can be used to improve communication in that it has got a number of communication tools included in its offerings. And so the core communication tools offered by Google Workspace include Gmail, for example. I just showed you while you were beginning the presentation. Gmail is Google Emails tools, and also we have got Google Meet. Google Meet, I'm sure most of you are really familiar with it because you've held different video conferencing, and it is also a tool that we actually use to train you with. And also we've got Google Currents, although Google at the moment have really eliminated Google Currents. And also we have got Google Chat, which it is an instant messaging platform for Google. Yeah. And so how can Google Workspace be used to help teams work smarter? So Google Workspace can be used to help your team to work smarter and not harder. As the saying go, you should ensure that you're actually working harder and not smarter. So it can actually be used to collect, analyze, and also turn data into insights, both from customers and also from your team directly. And by that, it actually harnesses your data and also the knowledge. You're able to actually make better decisions from it since it is something that you've seen on board. Yeah. And also it can be used to streamline your workflows and processes. You can actually store and manage files. You can actually communicate and collaborate with one another under one single central system. It also prevents threats before they happen with proactive security tools powered by Google, artificial intelligence, what we are currently looking into, machine learning, the current digital thing. And also, people can actually find the exact files, content, and also the knowledge they need. So that is how Google Workspace can actually enable you to work smarter. And so digging deep into another advantage of Google Workspace is that you have actually checked into it, is that you can securely store your files and data without the risk of losing any of your file or data, because Google Workspace stores documents and also files and data on Google Cloud via Google Drive, the tool that I just showed you while you were beginning. And you can also use the admin console to centralize your administration. You also have the option to actually centralize your cloud and identity features to manage users, and also you can set up features, for example, like two-factor authentication for security purposes, which actually currently Google are really encouraging people to turn on the two-step factor authentication for security purposes so that no one can be able to access your details unless you allow them. because there's a certain code that they sent you for you to be able to access that information. And also, you can be able to protect your organization with security analytics and also best practices recommendations. And also, you are able to identify and prevent threats with Google powered AI or AIs, or rather artificial intelligence. So now that we know the benefits of Google Workspace, another question that I'm sure most of you are actually asking yourself is, how do we set up our Google Workspace account? So that is a question, but don't worry, we are going to dig deep into it in the next session. So how are we going to create, how can someone create Google Workspace account? So the first thing is you can visit the website. The link, I'll just share with you the link. Allow me to share with you the link via the chat box, and I'm sure my moderator too will actually be able to share it with you. So let me share with you the link of how you can actually register via Google Workspace. Here, there it is. You can actually be able to see it on your chat box. Yeah, and I can see you all are actually engaging. Welcome so much to the training, Lydia. Lydia and Gia, I'm so glad to see you. I'm glad to see you, Apilis, Almascare. I'm happy to see you all. I'm happy to see Luciano. I'm happy to see Stephen Odis. Welcome all, and feel free to interact with us on the chat box as we continue with our presentation today. Also, feel free to ask us in case of any questions. We are ready to really engage and respond to all your questions. So maybe we can continue with our presentation on how to create a Google Workspace account. So the first account is you actually create the link that I've just shared with you on the chat box. And then after you click on it, the next step is that you enter the core business details, or rather your business name, number of employees, and also location. On the third step is that you should add your contact details, for example, your first name, your last name, and also your email address. And then you can go further to choose your domain name. That is basically your website URL, and also update your business address and also choose your username. So maybe we can try that practically. Allow me to reshare my screen where I've actually opened that link while I was sharing with you. So after you click the link, what you're going to be able to see is what you can see on my screen. So you'll be able to add your business name, for example, Evelyn's. We call it Evelyn's Fashion App. And then the number of employees, I'll say, for example, are between 2 to 9. The region is Kenya. I'll click next, and then maybe I'll write my name is Sine. Then maybe for the email address, maybe I'll write that. You include your email address. These are the various steps of how to create a Google Workspace account. And then you click next. You choose your domain name if you've got one, and then you click next. Let me just get a domain name because apparently I do not have a domain name right now. New fashion hub, maybe .co.ke. Then you click next. So you must have to verify it, or you can use that particular email to set up your account. And then once you click next, we'll send you occasional emails, okay, for features. Maybe if you want to receive them, okay. If you don't want, you can say no, thank you. We'll send you users, you click, and then how you'll sign it, they'll be able to provide you with the details. And so that's it. Quite simple on how to create a Google Workspace. Yeah. So maybe we can continue with our presentation right here. So maybe we've got any questions on how to, on Google Workspace, feel free to interact with us right there on the chat box. So how to get set up on Google Workspace is that you need to create your business email. And business email does not mean, for example, evelynside@gmail.com. My business email is, for example, my domain name is fashionapp.co.ke. My email should be evelyn@fashionapp.co.ke with my domain name as the last thing. That is what we call a professional email, a professional business email. And also you are able to add team members and users under it. Under this is where, for example, we'll be able maybe to create, maybe we've got a teammate called Linda, maybe you can be able to write Linda at fashionhub.co.ke. Maybe it is Apilis at fashionhub.co.ke. Maybe it is Lydia at fashionhub.co.ke. And also you're able to create maybe group business emails. For example, you've got maybe like three salespeople and you want all emails entering to the email sales at fashionhub.co.ke to reach all the three of them. You can create a group email, for example, sales at fashionhub.co.ke, maybe admin at fashionhub.co.ke and such. So basically that is how you add team members and users. And also you can migrate data and also import files. For example, when you're switching to Google Workspace from another application, for example, if it is Microsoft Outlook, you can bring your existing email contacts and also calendar data with you without region or rather losing any data from it. So that is it on how to get set up on Google Workspace. First step, remember we've already set up Google Workspace and we've already seen how to get set up on it. Yeah. So maybe we've got any questions. Let me check if you've asked any question. Thank you so much, Steve. I can see Steve at Vilfreak Studios, but you've forgotten .co.ke because I actually know your domain name. Yeah, so welcome and feel free to ask us any questions. And also you can click on the link that I've just shared with you on how to get set up on Google Workspace and try the process. Yeah, so maybe we can continue with our presentation. On the next topic is how to boost communication across your business. So the first thing, for example, which tools can you use via Google Workspace to boost your communication? Feel free to interact with us on the chat box. Tell us the particular tools that you actually use to boost communication via Google Workspace. Or for example, if you do a random guess, what are some of these tools under Google Workspace that can be used for communication? Yeah, I will be able to read your different responses, so feel free to interact with us. Yeah. And so the four main communication tools found via Google Workspace. The first one is Gmail, which I know most of you actually know it. You've actually sent or rather received messages via Gmail. You're also quite familiar with Google Meet, which I'm sure you've held video conferences via it, which mostly as I try to communicate with you, my SMEs, I really make use of Google Meet. So I'm sure you're really quite familiar with it. Let's not talk so much about Google Currents because it was eliminated by Google. So the other tool is Google Chats. Google Chats where you can actually receive instant messaging via Google. For example, the way you receive instant messages on WhatsApp, you can receive the same via Google. Yeah. And then the next thing, for example, we're going through each and every tool. And to begin with, it's the Gmail. I'm sure most of you, actually all of you, are quite familiar with Gmail because we actually send you a lot of emails via your Gmail emails. So Gmail is basically a communication tool and that it can be used to communicate globally with ease using the Google's free email tool. It is a free tool and it is Gmail. So you're actually able to send files as attachments. You're able to create groups and mailing listings under it. You're also able to access the integrated calendar in order to stay connected and up to date. You can also use the calendar for both personal use and also team use. And the latest Gmail actually makes it easier to stay on top of the work of what matters in an organization, especially. It has got it has got good security in that for you to be able to access it, you can actually be able to turn on the two-factor authentication. And also it builds customer trust by giving everyone in your company a professional email address. For example, let's say now I created the email, for example, Lydia at Fashion Hub. Let me just use a domain name for a domain name. For example, she has got a business called Taswira, and our domain name is taswira.co.ke. For example, if Lydia tries to log in Gmail using Lydia at lydia@taswira.co.ke, she may not be able to log in because that shows that she has got a business email. But for her to actually be able to access her emails via Gmail, what she can be able to do is that she can be able to purchase Google Workspace. So it is a tool where if, for example, you purchase it, your storage system can actually increase. And at Gmail, you'll be able to access different emails using the Gmail platform. Like, for example, it is lydia@taswira.co.ke, but anytime I'm trying to log in to it via Gmail, it will be able to allow me to log in because I've paid for Google Workspace. Yeah, the same thing as Steve at vilfreakstudios.co.ke. You may not be able to access it right now via Gmail, but immediately you pay for it and Google Workspace packages, different packages that they have, you can actually be able to access it. So that is it. You can even be able to create emails for your employees, just as I had mentioned. Yeah, they can see Penina from Ready Trading has just joined us. Welcome to the session and feel free to interact with us. Yeah. And so Gmail really works hard to actually keep you safe, you and your data safe. And it also has got a certain tool where, for example, if you delete an email, it will actually go straight to a trash, but it will not completely be deleted till 30 days are over. Meaning that you can actually, if you accidentally deleted an email, you can actually be able to relocate or rather access it easily. And also under Gmail, it works great with desktop clients such as Microsoft Outlook, Apple Mail, and even Mozilla. And also Outlook users can actually sync emails, events, and also contacts to and from Google Workspace, particularly the Gmail. And also under Gmail, you're actually able to migrate your email from Outlook, Exchange easily, and also with the use of customized tools that actually help preserve your important messages. So I'm sure most of you now understand more about Gmail. And actually, it also provides you with autocorrect for you to be able to send the right English. And what we are actually hoping Google to do is, for example, most people are actually sending their emails with different attachments. So what we are hoping is that you sometimes you find that you've actually sent your email, but you forgot about the attachments. We are hoping that Google will actually come up with something, with a tool that will actually remind us that this particular, or rather you've forgotten to maybe you've forgotten to attach the attachments. Sorry. Yeah. So that, I think that would really work for us. Yeah. So maybe we can continue and jump into the next topic, which is Google Meet. Google Meet, again, I'm sure you're really quite familiar with it because actually when I'm holding most meetings with you, I actually use the platform's Google Meet. So the functions, or rather the advantages of Google Meet, is where you can help video conferencing, especially for people who are working remotely, or even, for example, you just want to chat with a friend and you want maybe to see each other, you want to personalize that communication, you can make use of Google Meets. So Google Meets can actually keep your team connected with enterprise grade video conferencing, of which I've actually done that with most of you. And also Meet is included within Google Workspace and G Suite for education, especially ever since COVID-19 hit, most students are actually educated online using Google Meets platform. And also you can actually take advantage of the same secure by design infrastructure. It has got a built-in protection where whatever you're saying cannot actually be leaked. Yeah. And also the Meet video meetings are encrypted in transit, and also they have got a certain default, and it prevents abuse measures which keep your meetings quite safe. They can see that Francis, welcome to the session, Albert, Francis, Samson. I can see that Francis has got a question. They can see that my moderators actually answered you. So I will reach out to you via that after the session of the different packages. So yeah, maybe if you've got any questions on Google Meet, we can jump forward. We will not really check into Google Currents because Google Currents was actually eliminated by Google just a few months ago. So it may not really be essential or rather part of this training for your knowledge. Yeah. So we're going to jump into the next Google Workspace tool, which is Google Chat. Google Chats. This is for instant messaging, just the same way you receive instant messages via WhatsApp, you're able to receive instant messages via chat. So it is from direct messages to group. Maybe you can form a group under it. Google Chat actually helps teams and businesses communicate fluidly and efficiently from anywhere. For example, in an organization, no, you should not literally email everything to each other. There are things, for example, I'm asking a colleague, where do I access this folder? I can easily go to Google Chat, text them that, and they will be able to respond to me. Yeah. And also under chat is that it securely connects you with anyone you work with, and also it takes group work to the next level with shared charts, shared files, and also shared tasks. And also you can be able to upload items from Drive. You can also be able to collaborate the same way I was talking. You can be able to do a collaboration work on the same sheet with your team members. For example, it's Google Docs, just the same way I showed you earlier on via the practical examples I was doing. You can do them via Google Sheets, you can do them via Google Slides, and such on. So that is it from the communication tools of Google Workspace. Maybe if you've got any questions, feel free to interact with me. And then uh, there are top tips to maintain or rather to maximize your communication via Google Workspace. That one, you can recreate in-person communication. Two is that you can stay organized. Three, you can create mailing systems. And four, you can set up projects or team rooms. So we are going to jump into each and every one of it. So, on the first step is that you can actually recreate in-person communication, and under it, there are actually four ways of recreating in-person communication. It includes, for example, you can schedule regular team calls and also check-ins via Google Meet and Hangouts. For example, I tell my team that we are supposed to have a meeting at 8:30 p.m. I'll just share with them a link on how they are going to join in the training with. So basically, I've shared regular team calls with my team. And also, you can connect with colleagues and teams across the globe. You can also be able to brainstorm ideas, work on team projects, and also hold virtual events via the Google Workspace tools. And also, you can actually be able to join the sessions. It's either from mobile or even desktop devices, because you can actually be able to download for example, the Google Meet application for the meetings and such on. Yeah. So the next step, as we've said, is to stay organized. How can you stay organized? So the top tips of using Google Workspace to actually stay organized is by using the Google Calendar. For example, once you're organizing, for example, it's a training or maybe you're educating students online, you can maybe use Google Calendar to share the link for them to join the learning session directly via it. And one thing about Google Calendar is that it's going to remind you that there is a meeting. It also improves communication across teams. It creates multiple team calendars to actually track meetings, training sessions, vacations, and also it can improve visibility and also organizations by ensuring all team members remain connected. And calendar, it also enables an organization to stay organized, in that one can actually spend less time planning and more time doing what has been scheduled with shareable calendars that actually integrates with both Gmail, with both Google Drive, contacts, sites, Meet, and so you always know what's next. It's like it's providing you a schedule of how you're going to do different events in a day. Yeah. And also schedule events. It also schedule events quickly by checking colleagues' availability. For example, if I'm planning a meeting with you and maybe we are in the same organization, maybe I wanted to have a meetup with you from 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. But once I sent you that invite, for example, you initially had particular maybe another meeting at that particular time, Google Calendar will automatically reject my invite to you. So in short, Google Calendar really helps us to stay organized. So the next tip it introduces step three, or rather, okay, step three is on how to create team mailing systems. How can you actually create team mailing system? The first thing is that you can create a Google group emails list, such as teams@fashionhub.co.ke, sales@fashionhub.co.ke. So what happens under this is that, for example, just as I had earlier said, maybe for example in your company you've got three people under sales. So, and for example, you want, if when a client actually emails that particular email, it reaches all three salespeople in your company. What you're going to do is that you're going to create a group email. For example, you can say sales@fashionhub.co.ke. That is a group email. So, for example, me as a client, if I email sales@fashionhub.co.ke, that email is going to be reached by all three salespeople in your team because it's a group that you've grouped under Google Workspace. So that is a way on how you can actually create a team mailing system. Another one is that you can actually send status updates to the group. You can also CC the group into emails. For example, you're sending an email, you CC it into the group emails. You can also share resources under it. You can increase visibility, and also you can foster community. You can actually foster community to help in creating the team mailing system. Yeah. So on the next thing, or rather step four, is set up project or team rooms. This is the last step on how to maximize your communication. But how can you set up the project or team rooms? The thing is that you need to really encourage your team members to stay connected by creating a room in Google Chat or Google Chats, or Google Chats in Gmail, which also incorporates Hangouts. I'm sure most of you have actually seen Hangouts under Gmail. And also another thing on how to set up a project or team rooms is that you can actually encourage your team members to network with each other. They can also be able to share project ideas, or rather brainstorm ideas under it and come up with really good ideas which can bring the organization to the next level. And also they can exchange thoughts on best practices, and they can actually create a stronger sense of community under it, because basically it's a collaboration in what we are doing. Yeah. So the next thing, I will pose for different questions, and the only question I see here is from Francis, and I can see he was actually answered. So maybe anyone else who has got a question, feel free to reach out to me. And welcome so much for joining, Harrison. Although you've missed a little bit, but we are glad you're actually on board. Yeah, so feel free to ask me any questions under it, and I will be glad to answer you the different questions. So if there are no questions, maybe we can jump into the next thing, to the next topic. So we're going to look into the last topic, which is on how to leverage tools, or rather the Google Workspace tools, to increase collaboration. So for example, if I may ask you, now that you actually understand Google Workspace, its benefits, the different tools that you've got, which tools can you use on Google Workspace to increase collaboration? Feel free to interact with us on the chat box. I'll actually be checking on it just to be sure. So which tools can you actually use on Google Workspace to increase collaboration in your team? Feel free to interact with us. And so you can actually collaborate across project and teams, or rather your team members. And some of the things that you can use to collaborate is, for example, you can brainstorm ideas. This is definitely through Google Meets. You can also share working files. This is from Google Drive. You can make suggestions and tag colleagues, for example, using Google Calendars, and also you can be able to track changes. Can also be able to track changes. So let's look at each of these individually. So on the first thing, the first tool that we're actually looking into is Jamboard. Jamboard, it is used to harness the power of digital whiteboards to share ideas and improve brainstorming session. For example, I tell my team that we've got a brainstorming session for us to actually come up with wise ideas, we can maybe use this tool called Jamboard. Jamboard will actually help us where we are able to sketch things, we are able to write things on it. You can actually write and draw with the included stylus that are provided. You can search Google and insert images on it to make the brainstorming sessions quite engaging. And also you can drag and resize text and images with your fingers. So I'll be able to show you this practically in just a few. So the other tool is Google Drive, and how can Google Drive be used to increase collaboration? So Google Drive is actually low-key a major tool under Google Workspace, especially for storage. So another thing I never told you is that under Google Workspace, there's the paid version and the free version. There are things you can do on the free version, but you're not able to do them unless you've paid for it. Now, for example, Google Meets. Google Meets only allows you to hold a meeting for at most 1 hour. At most 1 hour. And if you're not done within the 1 hour, the meeting will automatically end. But for example, if you've paid for a package under Google Workspace, you are able to actually hold the meeting for as long as you want, and you can actually be able to record the meeting. But if it is on a free version, you are not able to even record it. So what I'm advocating is that it's really essential to get Google Workspace for convenience, especially in your team, in your organization, in your company. And also another thing under Google Drive is that Google Drive is really important, especially for storage, in that it stores files on cloud via Google Drive, of course, and it enables you to share working documents, presentation, and sheets with ease. Another thing about Google Drive is that on a free version, it only offers 15 GB storage space. And so once the 15 GB storage space is over, you won't be able to easily access Google Drive unless, if for example you are on a paid Google Workspace package, it offers more than even 100 GB of space. So it depends on the particular package that you purchase, but you'll be able to have a lot of storage system. Yeah. So apart from storage, Google Drive also encourages collaboration and work from one central file. For example, where you will encourage your team to be able to access files under one central place. And also, Google Workspace provides flexible storage options, so you will always have enough space for your files. And also with the centralized administration, whereby, for example, your team is able to access all files under one platform, data loss prevention is activated, and also Vault for Drive. You can actually easily manage users and file sharing to help meet the data compliance needs, meaning that your files are purely, or rather they are really secure under Google Drive. And also you can be able to share, comment, tag, and edit team documents with ease. For example, it's me, maybe I'm the CEO of my company, and then I've created emails, different Google Workspace emails, or rather professional emails for my teams. I can be able to access their Google Drives and maybe assist them in anything that they may need from my side. Yeah, so that's it from Google Drive. The next thing is how to make suggestion and also tag colleagues. So how can you actually be able to make suggestion and tag colleagues via Google Workspace? This is where you can edit the shared documents in real time, and also it reduces the need to send files back and forth. You can also be able to suggest changes. You can comment on different ideas under it, and also you can tag colleagues to increase visibility and also boost collaboration under it. You're also able to simply type at, for example, I want to mention maybe at Lydia. Immediately I mention the Lydia, or rather type their professional email and Google Drive, it will be able to notify Lydia that they have actually been mentioned, and so they're going to act on it. And also you are able to reply to comments. For example, this is a certain team member who commented on a certain thing, I can be able to work on it. Yeah. And then the last one is that you can actually be able to track changes under Google Workspace. And under this is, for example, if you're collaborating with several people, for example, your team members on a single file, it can be difficult to pinpoint who made certain changes and when. So, for example, on Google Sheets or Google Forms, it automatically tells you who made an edit recently. For example, last edit was made by Lydia 2 seconds ago. Last edit was made by Penina 2 minutes ago. So you can be able to actually track those changes. And also, it can keep track of changes in shared files by identifying changes and also who made them. And you can also revert to a previous version. And also, Google Workspace enables you to view all edits made to your documents and also file. You can be able to restrict access. For example, I'm on a Google Sheet, and practically what I've done on that particular Google Sheet, I've created it, but I want my team members to see the kind of information or data I've been put in it. I can be able to restrict the access. For example, disable that they cannot be able to edit it, but they can only view only. Yeah. And also you are able to review changes, maybe under reviewing changes. For example, on Google Drive, maybe you can open your file in Google Drive, and then from docs, sheets, or slides, you can just select a file and also select file, version history, and see the version history of it. And also step 3, under it, you can click a timestamp, for example, to see a previous version of the file. And also step 4, you can actually revert, name, or copy a previous question. So let me just show you this practically again. We did while the session was beginning, but let me just show you practically about the different tools. Yeah. So on the different tools that you were talking about is that for you to access the Google Workspace tools, you have to log into your Gmail. And then under Gmail, you click on these icons. There are 9 dots, and once you hover around it, it's called Google Apps. So once you click on it, for example, you'll be able to see Google Drive. I can click on it, Google Drive. So this is what Google Drive is. Actually, Google can be able to show you how to use it if it is your first time using it. And then another tool, you just click on it, you can see, okay, I don't know, it's my internet. Yeah, so for example, another tool like Google Calendar, it's this one, you can be able to click on it and be able to use it. And then we've got different tools, the ones that I was showing you as we were beginning. For example, that is Google Docs. So this is Google Calendar. This is where maybe you can create a meeting, you fill in every detail, and then you can be able to send it to the particular people you want to invite for that event. Google Docs is where practically you can create or rather work on this sheet with different things. It can be able to be saved. Yeah, so what they were saying about history is that you click file. After you click file, you can be able to download that particular document if maybe you need an offline version of it. And also another thing about this Google Workspace tools is that you're able to work on it when you're online, but you can also choose to work on it maybe when you're also offline. Yeah, you can choose the particular language you want to use. And also what I was talking about, what I was just talking about right now, you can be able to view the history. For example, if you want to know who made a certain edit at what time, you can just click on it and you'll be able to see all the history that you need to see. And also under Google Sheet, just click on it. Google Sheets is here. This works well as Excel. So you click the blank one and then you can be able to input all your data. You can be able to work on this particular sheet with all your team members. Then the other one is called Google Slides. Google Slides is it's a modified version of a power presentation. So you can be able to even create your pitch right here under it. So you can be able to create your pitch, you can be able to modify it, use any theme that you'd like to use, and also you can actually work on it. Maybe for example, I've got a colleague in UK, I've got another colleague in China, I've got another colleague in US. We can all be able to work on this sheet while we are in different locations, but we are all working on the same thing. And also another thing that we checked on is, for example, We can check on the Jamboard. Jamboard, this is where, for example, you're able to sketch, you're able to put images under this, you're able to practically do anything under this. And it is especially really essential when it comes to brainstorming. And also another tool that I talked about is Google Forms. For example, this is where it is used especially, and it is good for questionnaires. If you would like to get data from people, you can be able to make the questionnaire forms using Google Forms. You'll just click on these icons, then scroll down to forms, click the blank one, and yeah, you'll be able to create your questionnaire here. So yeah, that is it on Google Workspace. Maybe if anyone has got any question so that we can quickly answer it. Welcome, Harrison. I can see you're from Eldoret. So glad to have you on board today. So maybe we've got any question. We are winding up. Let me just reshare my screen. I can see that there are actually no questions at the moment. And so, just to make a conclusion, is that Google are providing a free bootcamp for all small and medium enterprises. It's called Google Asol Academy, where you'll be able to get a one-on-one mentorship with a mentor provided by Google who can actually train you on a personal level. So you can actually register via the link that my moderator is going to share with you on the chat box, and they will be able to reach out to you. And also, feel free to actually follow us on social media. Feel free to follow our Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram pages, and that my moderator will be able to share our social media platforms too via the chat box. Feel free to interact with us on all social media channels. And also on to the next steps is that we're going to train you on Google Ads, how to set up Google Ads, how to track data and insights under Google Ads. And yeah, it's really been a pleasure having you on board, training you. I hope that you've grabbed a thing or two from the training session, and that the important thing is that you should actually implement it to your business. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining today's training session. I hope you've grabbed a thing or two from it, and looking forward to meeting you, or rather training you on future training session. Yeah, thank you so much, and have a blessed evening ahead. Yeah, thank you. Bye.